In this video for financial review, we're going to talk about how you can pay off your mortgage faster. And this is part one, extra payments. So this information that's listed right here is an example of my mortgage as it is right now. I literally took what's called the amortization schedule, which basically breaks down every single payment down to the amount that you pay in principal and interest, and then breaks it down to the principal amount that you pay, and then also breaks down the interest that you pay. And then it starts breaking down the balance of what your balance is going to be with the remaining principal after you subtract the principal amount payment from the total amount of the mortgage, which in this case is 194,000. So this spreadsheet just takes into effect a couple of things. It's looking at the payment itself, and of course, like we said, breaks down the principal and the interest, but it also factors in what's called the additional principal. So this video is about extra payments. So the question is how can you pay your mortgage off faster? Well, part one of this is to make extra payments towards your mortgage. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to pay six more payments towards your mortgage this month or anything like that, but it's putting additional principal down towards your monthly payment. So, for example, let's say that I was going to add an additional $100 on top of my already monthly principal payment. So if I added $100 to this and we said, okay, when am I going to break even, or better yet, when am I going to pay this off? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move down the line and I'm going to find the point where we actually get to the balance of zero or close to zero. So as we can see, right around this mark, 322 payments, we actually would be completely paid off right around this spot right here if we made an extra $100 towards the payments. So 322 divided by 12 would be 26 years. So on a 30-year mortgage, you would save 4 years just by paying an extra $100 towards your principal. Well, let's go even further. Let's say that we were going to pay even more towards that. Let's say you had an extra $150 in your budget and you want to see how much you're going to save then. Well, if I pay an extra $150 towards my payment every single month, then I'll end up paying the house off in 300 payments instead, or 306 payments, excuse me. So if I said, hey, 306 payments divided by 12 payments a year, I'd pay off my house in 25 and a half years. I'd be done paying off the house. So I want to keep showing you these numbers just to show you how impactful it is to budget extremely good when you're dealing with numbers. And as long as you know your income and what your expenses are, you know exactly what you can afford. And especially if you have money left over, or if you get bonuses, or if you get a raise, typically what I do is I take any money that I make in a raise and I put it towards savings, or I make it in extra payments towards the mortgage to pay the house off faster. So let's just say, for sake of argument, you made an extra $250 payment towards the mortgage. Well, if we did that alone for the next X amount number of years, we would pay this mortgage off right around the 274 payment mark. So what is that in years, and how much would that save us? So if I said 274 divided by 12, that's in 22 years. So basically, you're taking a 30-year mortgage and you're paying on it as if it was close to a 15-year mortgage. Well, technically, if I came over here and said, well, what if I paid 300? What would that save me then? Well, we get closer and closer towards the middle, which would be right around this spot, which is around 259. So if I said 259 divided by 12, we're right around 21 years. So clearly, the more money you pay towards your mortgage on extra principal each month, you end up paying off the house faster. Now, the question often comes up is how much money am I really going to save if I put an extra $150 towards my mortgage? How much money am I actually going to save on interest? And that's a great question because, again, it's different depending on what your payment is. Now, because this amortization schedule is based on my mortgage, I could see how much money I'm going to save based on the numbers that I factor in here. But it's safe to say that I could probably make a $135 payment right at the end, but how much interest am I going to save? Well, because amortization schedules are heavier with interest in the very beginning of your mortgage, meaning when you go to the very beginning, you notice how it's 68% interest. So out of that $911.36 payment, you're actually paying 68% interest, which of course, in my case, that's what I would have paid on my first payment. And then the principal is only this much. So you can clearly tell that you're not paying very much towards principal in the very beginning. That's the way amortization schedules are broken out because they probably figured out that if most people in the world default on mortgages within the first few years, so they try to heavily weight it towards interest in the very beginning so they can get enough money. So that way, if they have to sell the house, they make a profit on top of it, which is basically the interest and also selling the house. So it's a pretty evil number here, 68% right at the very beginning of my mortgage. But if I paid an extra $150 towards my mortgage every single month, when would I hit the zero mark and how much interest would I save? So right around the 306 payment option, I would say, okay, well, how much interest am I going to save? It would be a total of $4,241.05. It's really not that much in the scheme of things because the total interest that I would have to pay on the house anyway would be $133,000 if I made these payments just the way they are, like without paying extra. So I'm only saving, 4 grand with paying an extra five or 150 bucks for the next X number of payments. So some people would say that's not worth it to them. But again, if you have it in your budget and you have the amount of money to pay towards it, again, the more money you pay towards it, the faster you pay the house off and the more interest you can save. So let's say I put $350 towards the payment of the house. Well, if I come over here and find that break even mark right around here and say, okay, well, how much interest did I save then? I save over $16,000 in interest by paying an extra $350 towards my mortgage. It's probably easily determined that the amount of money that I pay towards it is probably a lot more than the interest that I saved. But again, it's about getting out of the mortgage quicker and paying off the house faster. If you guys have any questions, feel free and send me an email. I'd love to answer your questions. If you have a specific situation you want to take a look at, I'm happy to look at it, even review it online and film a video explaining it. Would love to see your feedback, would love your comments, and please like the video. I appreciate your time, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Thank y'all so much for watching.